Leniel and Schrodes. So it's a crab versus crane match going up any second. And we're just going to do a quick look at their lists while we're waiting for Schrodes to join in on the game. So on the crab side, we see a pretty standard crab. Manicured Garden, Defend the Wall, Meditation, Shameful Display, Rally to the Cause. Nothing really strange on the crab side. No Kuniyori though, so that could be interesting. Kuni Laboratories though, for just a lot of extra strength potentially. Iron Mines, Favorable Ground. To Sabotage, I imagine that's not going to be used a lot against Crane. Gaijin Customs instead of the Wayfinders, which is a bit of a flavor choice, I guess. Yeah, there's nothing really strange about this list. This looks about pretty standard crab. And looking at Kakita Leniel, we see a new Magistrate Station, which is like really good for Crane. We're playing Seeker of Air, and we have Quarter Scout, Blaster Samurai. I don't see anything out of the ordinary here. I think most Crane actually have cut Kakita Case in, but he, with more honoring effects, is actually not too bad military power wise. We do see a storyteller, so he perhaps is looking to draw a couple of cards from having just honored characters. A single Menacing Iron Warrior, which is interesting. And we do see Soul Beyond Reproach. I'm a bit surprised this isn't at 3x. Game of Sadane, Admit Defeat. Do we have also two Noble Sacrifices? Pretty decent Crane list in general, I think. Alright, and now we're into the game. I missed the beginning. We do see Crab player buying 2 Kai Envoys, and we see the Crane player buying a Doji Whisperer and a Cautious Scout with 2 Fate. And I imagine the Crab player just wants to play more dudes, apparently. So he plays more dudes. And so does the Crane player. So we go into the bidding phase. Both bids 5 to 5, and we have 4 Fate in the Crab player's hands and 1 Fate in the Crane player's hands. So there's not really much in the way of things that can drop from hand from the Crane player. Like even if the Crab player hits Manicured Gardens, so he gets 1 Fate from Seeker of Air and 1 Fate from Manicured Gardens, that's just enough to drop a Menacing Iron Warrior with no Fate or a Political Rival with no Fate. It's not really a great investment. You kind of want those characters to stick around for at least a couple of turns. And we see a reprieve played on Vanguard Warrior, so he's trying to avoid the 1x Assassinate in Leniel's hand and save the Vanguard Warrior potentially for next turn when he has a bigger target worth sacrificing the Fate onto, I guess. It's a bit of an odd opening for Crab, if I'm going to be completely honest. And we do see the Crab player hitting Manicured Garden, so the maximum amount of Fate regain is going to go to Leniel. And we see a defense with Brass Samurai, and Brass Samurai is going to honor himself, activating Voice of Honors, and just basically being a wall. We see that this is the Water Ring, so I imagine he's looking to bow out this Doji Whisperer, if at all possible. So we see the one-off Spreading of Darkness. I think that was one-off. Yes, a single one-off, and from the the single one-off of Spreading of Darkness, and we do see a Hawk Tattoo pull the Vanguard Warrior in here from the Crane player, so he's actually currently breaking. I'm going to quickly bring up my chat. Sorry if the chat has been speaking, I haven't been able to see you speak. I will be able to shortly though. Here we go. Yeah, chat is active. Okay, so we see a banzai played from Leniel, and that ties out the conflict strength-wise. So the crab player wins the ring, but he does not break. So now it's up to Leniel to attack with Cautious Scout, and whatever he's finding Cautious Scout, he doesn't care because it blanks it. Actually, does the crab player run assassinations? I'm just gonna have a quick look. He does not run assassinations. He's afraid of losing too much honor. He does run 2 Way of the Crabs though, but I don't think he's going to use that here. And we do see this is a bit of an odd choice, if I'm going to be completely honest, to play Mountain Does Not Fall on this Caillou Envoy, simply because, yeah, admit defeat is one thing, and also, is the Crane player really going to have another conflict this turn? He's going to have to drop a Steward for that. I think that's a bit of a waste of resources, both card-wise, like dropping a Mountain and dropping a Katana. I don't really see the value. I mean, he might be using the Mountain Does Not Fall to just have a favor grab for the 1 glory of Caillou Envoy, but I still think Mountain is such a strong card that I would probably save it for like a souped up Borderlands Defender or something. So we see Earthring and we see a Sabotage discarded at random. And Schrodes pass his conflict. We see a Sabotage. I mean, that's probably something he's fairly happy to discard, because I don't think the Crane is going to have anything really dangerous flipped on any provinces that he can't brute force regardless. And a lot of stuff leaving play. And we go into the next round. And no favor to anyone. I think the crab player is okay with this. Like, the crab player, of course, would have liked the favor if possible, but the crab player is more than happy enough to just say that the Crane player does not have the favor himself, because Yoshi and just drawing cards with the favor is very strong for the Crane player. So the Crane player instantly plays Doji Whisper with 1 fate, and the response is a Shrewd Yasuki with 1 fate. I think you probably play Shrewd Yasuki here with 2 fate, like, unless you're afraid of more of the 1x assassinate in the Crane player's deck, which is a reasonable thing to be afraid of. Maybe you just sacrifice the Vanguard Warrior onto the Yasuki, of course. That's decent. I think you should play probably. Right, so we see Kakita Sami played from the Crane player with 2 fate, and you play here the Borderlands Defender with 2 fate. I think you honestly put 3 fate on the Borderlands Defender and just have a guy that doesn't bow or can't be touched in any sort of way. And we see a 2 bid to a 4 bid. So I think in this case the crab player was hoping to gain a little bit of honor, but the Crane player is basically trying to put on the card choke on the crab player. So we see a Spyglass getting dropped on the Borderlands Defender. The question is if we're going to see a let go from the Crane player here. This is otherwise a very excellent way for the crab player to just claw himself and just start bidding 1 from now, and then have a guy that just keeps drawing cards over and over and over again. And we do see Way of the Crane playing on Kakita Sami, which means this Kakita Sami is huge in political right now and probably is going to steal more honor. I don't see the crab player being able to stop Kakita Sami from just stealing a bunch of honor. So the Crane player Kakita Leniel is looking to attack, and he goes into the only known province, which is Manicured Gardens. and we see a defense from the Borderlands defender, so there's going to be no shenanigans bowing him with admit defeat or anything like that. Now this is a good case where you probably play the Mountains Does Not Fall, but now Crane player has another character in play and it can be cancelled by Voice of Honor, so it's way more risky. So obviously the watering is contested here, so we're probably looking to have the Vanguard Warrior bowed out after this conflict. That's probably what the Crane player is looking for here. How is Schrodes defending with 5 skill? Alright, the Cooney Laboratory. That is very strong. So he uses his Spyglass to draw a card and Manicure Garners to gain a fate. So for shame, he has to dishonor the Borderlands defender here. I imagine he's probably going to be baiting a... in this situation, I think if you can get a firing off at some point and like honor the Doji Whisperer and then try and just get this Borderlands defender to get discarded by Noble Sacrifice would be huge. We see Kakita Leniel playing a Hawk Tattoo, bringing the Shurizuki. The Shurizuki should absolutely trigger here to look at cards and see if he can gain something more out of this conflict, which he does. So, well, a huge political defense here. And we see a Talisman of the Sun go down on Borderlands defender, so I imagine... Now I don't know where we move this. Why do we move this? To where do we move this? Alright, he's basically trying to make sure that Noble Sacrifice is off for the rest of the turn. But he's also pretty much just made himself a nice juicy target for the next attack. But if he... yeah, okay, so Noble Sacrifice goes down right now to get rid of this Borderlands defender, which is now gone. Because otherwise, if I imagine Shameful would have triggered, probably honored the Yasuki and dishonored the Kakita Asami to turn off Voice of Honor and then play A Mountain Does Not Fall again or something like that. Yeah, okay, here we go. The Mountain Does Not Fall goes down on the Shrewd Yasuki, so he definitely had it. That was probably his plan, to just turn off Voice of Honor. I mean, he could probably have just dishonored the Asami and re-honored the Borderlands defender to make it safe for one more turn against Noble Sacrifice and stuff like that. Anyway, would have probably been fine. So it looks like the Crab player is just going to win this conflict, but he's down to a pretty dangerous 4 honor right now. And he's lost a Spyglass, and a Talisman of the Sun, and a Reprieve is gone. So he is a little bit in trouble unless he starts pulling good cards with his 1-bids. It would be lovely to still have that Reprieve to save the Borderlands defender from getting discarded here. Like, that would have been huge. I honestly don't really agree with the Reprieve on the Vanguard Warrior the first turn. I think that was a pretty lackluster play, if I'm going to be completely honest. I'm sure he had a plan that I didn't see, that didn't really come to fruition because of like Hawk Tattoo or whatever messing with his plan, but yeah, I don't think it was worth it. Like, having that for this turn would have been so much bigger. So he goes after the Guest of Honor because he wants to be able to play events, and he hits the second Air Province, Fertile Fields. So the Crane player gains a fate and gets to draw a card. Let's see. I think the crab player definitely has to pitch Cooney Laboratory after this turn, otherwise he's just going to kill himself slowly on honor. He does go for the airing right now. I think that had a fate on it. Yes, the airing had a fate on it, so it's definitely a sound investment at this point to just stop the honor bleed right now, allowing him to still play cards like Banzai. So he goes in and passes straight away. He is currently winning and breaking. He is forcing the Crane player to play more cards. So he plays a policy debate. So it's actually a 3-2. But of course the crab player is so low on honor that he pretty much has to bid 1. So the Crane player feels secure in the way that he can bid 1. So we do see Banzai, Katana, Guiding Custom, Skirmisher, Nezumi, Infiltrator, Rebuild, and Mountain Does Not Fall. I think you just toss either the Mountain Does Not Fall or the Rebuild here. Because unless you desperately want to stop this province from breaking, then you toss a Banzai or a Fine Katana. If you have your own Banzai to buff the Doji Whisperer. But like, I think for the long game, you definitely try and get rid of either Rebuild or Mountain Does Not Fall. And he actually gets rid of the Fine Katana. So I guess we're gonna see a Banzai from Leniel here. Let's see if that is true. Oh, we see an Outwit instead to send Vanguard Warrior home. How many Outwit does he play? He plays exactly 1 Outwit. Cool. Alright, I just see you guys in chat now saying a bunch of stuff. Yeah, there's only 2 souls beyond reproach. I think that's odd as well. Cool. I missed a couple of things. So the Nezumi Infiltrator was dropped with 0 fate, and he basically won the conflict and got the air ring off, but he didn't break. Alright, so Doji David has said that it's a 1 fate way of the Crane a lot of the time. Most of us has agreed that two instances of Souls Beyond Reproach is correct. Yeah, okay, that's actually reasonable, I guess. Yeah, I think like the Killy Crane variant where they play Scorpion Splash for Mark of Shame and 3 Noble Sacrifice is actually really annoying to play against. Simply because, like, a lot of the time they can set up a kill on your biggest character. Like, if you don't run Reprieve or Finger of Jade, they can just basically go, oh, you have a big character in play now. Dead. Alright, and we see a defense from Shuryasuki, and we see a bowing of Shiro Narishima, and that basically means that the Yasuki just defends and keeps standing from the earlier played Mountain Does Not Fall. And we see a political conflict, and Leniel discards Censure at random, and we don't see a break yet. So this is going to be a very, very long slog of a game where nothing breaks. Yeah, that's a decent card to discard from Leniel, but I mean, I'm going to guess that the Sentry is actually going to come online for the current player at some point this game, and then it's just a free cancel. I think it's right now the best thing he could have tossed, but it is still a good card. Yeah, Joe, I don't know what VW is. Vanguard Warrior. Alright, so he actually replaced the Vanguard Warrior for another turn. Yeah, I don't agree. I really don't agree. Why wasn't that reprieve used on the Borderlands Defender? Like, when did he draw that? Did he draw that with the Earth Ring, the last possible thing that happened? Yeah. It is possible he did draw it with the Earth Ring, like the last conflict that happened. Honestly. Oh yeah. Luke did point out he did not see the reprieve during the policy debate, so he did not have it before the policy debate. He must have pulled it with the Earth Ring. I would have just held on to it. Like, I would have just held on to that reprieve. Yeah, just Vanguard the Yasuki and then reprieve the Yasuki next turn so he doesn't get assassinated. Like, Yasuki is just awesome at this point because this game is going to devolve into one bids, I think, soon. I mean, the Crane player might bid 5 for this turn, and I think the Crab player can't really afford to bid more than, I don't know, 2? Really? Yeah, that seems reasonable. A 2 to 3 bid. And of course, the Crab player has found the second Spyglass. Yeah, of course, the Crane player is actually down to his last noble sacrifice, so there's a lot of things that has to. I mean, he has to have it in hand, he has to have a good target, he has to have an honored character, he has to have a dishonored character on the enemy side. It's quite a lot of things to fix at this point. But yeah, I'd totally save that reprieve for a bigger character with more impact. Like, if the Crane player just grabs his or rather finds his assassination, like, that Yasuki is dead and Yasuki is going to be huge. We see the first thing that happens pretty much is rebuilding of Kuni Laboratory. The two Crane provinces currently shown is Manicured Garden and Fertile Fields. He does run Magistrate Station and Shameful Display as well, of course. Alright, I'm a bit surprised that we haven't seen a single let go yet from the Crane player. And Schrodes is saying that this is a critical round and he wants to think about this. No, Crab shouldn't ever attack a face-down province again unless he is absolutely certain he is going to just slam that province into the ground and has like an Iron Mine showing to save a character or whatever. This is a very aggressive Crab thing going on right now. A very aggressive. So he's definitely looking to just break here. I imagine he could always like pull out the Suichi afterwards with a favorable ground if the defense doesn't come. That's actually a pretty good use of the Suichi here. Just have him in the conflict, then pull him out with a favorable ground after he has used Covert. Do you see the assassination? So he adds assassination to their hand and court games. So he discards the Voice of Honor. I think he already has 1 or 2 Voice of Honor in his hand. Then he just needed a way to activate it. I'm a dork, apparently. Luke says he has a Gaijin costume in hand. I don't know why he isn't playing around Let Go. Yeah, Leniel definitely needs to let go. But now Voice of Honor is online. And the save from Iron Mines comes in to save Vanguard Warrior. Do you actually just pull out the Vanguard Warrior, the Suichi here with the favorable ground and have the Vanguard Warrior? No, that's actually not enough to break. You're one off breaking. Wow. So he wins, he breaks, hopefully. Yeah, okay, he honors Suichi. I imagine we're gonna see Gaijin Customs played instantly. Yeah, Gaijin Customs is getting played, and Suichi is getting ready. So, do we see the political push here from the Crane player? I'm just catching up on chat here for a second. Yeah, so voice is off. Gaijin Customs readies the Suichi. I'm honestly a bit surprised that we haven't seen a let go from the Crane player. I think he's a bit unlucky at this point. He got rid of a couple of really high value attachments earlier, like one talisman is gone, another spyglass is gone. So, really strong. So defend the wall, and he's going to double defense. So he goes up to defense of 13. Yeah, that will probably do it. So a court games from Leniel turns back on Voice of Honor here. He honors his Doji Whisperer, and there's nothing Schrodes can do about that. But instead he plays court games to dishonor an opposing character. I think you just dishonored Yasuki here. Yeah, you can't play Mountain because Guest of Honor. I don't know why he boxed first action. Maybe he just wanted to do an action instead of passing. Maybe he was afraid something was going to, like, maybe he's afraid of outwit, but he already used his only outwit. I don't know. So we see a for shame to bow out the Yasuki. And we still need to see a drop of like a fan or something for the Crane player in order to... But I don't think the Crane player plays any fans. Let's have a quick check. Yeah, only Hawk tattoos. So no fans. Let's see a Way of the Crane, so it's 9 to 9. And we do see a fan from Schrodes instead. And that means he is still going to... Alright, so he bows out the Cautious Scout and tries to Gaijin Customs, but it gets instantly Voice of Honored. So that's 2 Gaijin Customs used. He might still have 1 because he plays 3 and no Wayfinders. But I think this turn is probably over. I think you sacrifice the Vanguard Warrior. Like, if you pass your conflict and your opponent passes their conflict, you instantly sack your Vanguard Warrior to put a fate on the Yasuki. Leniel is down to 2 cards. Of course he has a conflict characters in one of those 2 cards, because why not? Yeah, no let goes has really boosted Schrodes. I think we definitely have a conflict character still in hand from... Yeah, we still have the Skirmisher. So he can defend this if he is worried about him breaking. If he drops the skirmisher here, he actually defends this straight up because of Kuni Laboratory. Yeah, there we go. Now another card from the Crane player has to be Banzai or For Shame. I think he's honestly happy if he draws either of those cards out of him. I guess Admit Defeat would have been nice as well to bow it out, but he had no fate for Admit Defeat, so it was either For Shame or Banzai. And we already seen 2 For Shame played. Yeah, this is a pretty decent crab board. He is, however, safe from Way of the Crab because he played Steel Law with a Fate. So that's good for the Crane player. I think it was 2 Admit Defeat. I'm gonna have a quick check. Yeah, 2 Admit Defeat he runs. 1 game of Sadane, 1 Outwit, 1 Assassination. I still think the crab player... Does the crab player keep the Kuni Laboratory here? He does, so he's not really worried about this honor here anymore. I imagine the crab player is probably going to play either just the Vanguard Warrior and nothing else, or the Borderlands Defender with a ton of Fate. And we just see a Mia Mystic, so this Mia Mystic is going to blow up this Spyglass for sure. Like there's no world where that doesn't happen. Yeah, but he has a Dishonored character leaving play this round. Kuni Laboratory 1 more. I mean, I guess he's fine. In a way. Right, so he keeps the Borderlands Defender back for now. And it's pretty aggressive bids from both guys here, actually. Both bids 3. I think the crab player could probably have afforded to bid 1. In all honesty. Bleed the honor of the Crane player down. But I guess this works as well. So bid 3 to 3, and let's see what happens. Way of the Crab to sacrifice Skirmisher. I guess you just get rid of Steward of the Law then. That's fine, I guess. I would have probably liked to have poked with the Skirmisher first and then sacrifice him to Way of the Crab. Yeah, I do think like bidding 1 from the crab player. I mean, I guess he's afraid of him blowing up his Spyglass with the Mystic and then him having just as bad card draw. Like ideally, crab wants to just bid 1 and still draw a bunch of cards. But yeah. Oh yeah, all 4 targets were excellent for Way of the Crab. In all honesty, so I guess that's fine. I would see a let go here to discard the Spyglass. He finally found let go. And we see a preemptive play of The Mountain Does Not Fall on Suichi. It's actually pretty neat. Because he just doesn't want to deal with Voice of Honor shenanigans. And he knows Century is offline because he has the favor. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Right. Let's see what happens. And this Doji Challenger is basically completely neutered by the favorable ground. So if Doji Challenger pulls something in, then favorable ground is just going to drag it out again. Does he play 2 or 3 Hawk Tattoo? I'm just going to check that quickly. 3 Hawk Tattoo and only 2 let goes. Alright. So he still has 1 Hawk Tattoo in his deck somewhere. 2 has been played. So he preemptively rebuilds an iron mine. Is he baiting him into going into manicured gardens? I guess he's just baiting him into going into manicured gardens. I guess he wants the fate. What would be huge here is if Admit Defeat comes down and bows his Kaizuichi that has Mounted Does Not Fall being played on him. I think you have to defend with 2 people to avoid that. Let's see if the Crane player has found the Admit Defeat. That would be pretty big. Does the Crane player has the Admit Defeat? No. Okay, so he pulls in the Vanguard Warrior first. I'm guessing he... I mean, it could be like a super mind game that he wants to use that he wants him to use the favorable ground to pull out the Vanguard Warrior so he can't pull anything into the conflict and successfully defend afterwards. That would be the biggest mind game I've ever seen. I would probably have just played the Admit Defeat straight away. But yeah, that would actually be that would actually be pretty hilarious if that's the mind games coming out of the Crane player here, like forcing the opponent to favorable ground out a guy and then hitting him with Admit Defeat. I'm guessing he's not going to risk it. He just lets the favorable ground sit. Alright, do you just poke? I think you just poke military. Alright, military with the skirmisher, of course, to get past guest of honor here. Earth, I guess, to just get hammer in the card advantage even more. I think you find a new province here. Like, I think you try and find a new province here with the Earth Ring. Like, even if this is Magistrate's Station, like, he has to have another way of the Crane to honor something big to stand. Yeah, I think this is fine. So, Shameful Display. It's not going to do anything against these two. Like, he can dishonor one and rehonor the other. It's not going to matter. That is actually pretty big. This is rough for the Crane player. And he gets to use Yasuki and look at the top 2 cards, so he gets to pull something that benefits him. Do we see Shameful Display used here for basically no effect, or...? Alright, we see Test of Skill getting played. Policy Debate, Political Rival, Steward of the Law, Soul Beyond Reproach. He named events, so he gets Soul Beyond Reproach and Policy Debate, and discards Political Rival and Steward of the Law. So that is the... Is that the last Political Rival? No, he has 2, potentially. So he has 3 Steward of the Laws and 2 Political Rivals in his deck, so... We know exactly what he has in hand, so he's probably going to try and policy debate the next conflict, but Shameful Display breaking here is a huge win for the crab player. And he discards Souls Beyond Reproach. Wow, that's rough. And we see a Watch Commander go down on Suichi, because that Suichi is probably going to be immortal. Yeah, this Mystic has to pretty much blow up Watch Commander, I think. Like, he cannot let the... I mean, is he afraid of the third reprieve? I don't think he should be afraid of the third reprieve. And we didn't see him pull and admit defeat, so it was policy debate. Yeah, I think you just defend with Suichi here. That is a big Suichi. 10 casual political skill on defense. Why not? If Leniel completely forgets to blow up Watch Commander with his Mystic, I feel that he's probably gone into full tilt mode. Like, if that happens, he's probably just gone into full tilt mode. I think the crab player just attacks back and tries and do a Void Ring, get rid of the Guest of Honor, or the Doji Challenger. It doesn't really matter. I see a Void Ring here from the crab player, just to clear as much of the crane player's board for next turn. You go for Mag Station? Yeah, okay, fair enough. Okay, in this, he goes for the Fertile Fields. That's probably a mistake, because he could have just looked at the list and see that the last one is a Magistrate Station. I mean, there's a slim chance that he has the third Hawk Tattoo and could have readied and then pulled in the Guest of Honor, but that still breaks it. So he basically gave the Crane player a free card. Hopefully that's something that helped the Crane player. Let's see if he remembers to blow up this Vanguard Warrior now. He does remember, and he puts it on Yasuki. Which is fine, I guess. Unless he wanted it on Suichi. It might. It might change the game for Leniel, probably. We'll see. I imagine next turn the crab player is probably just gonna play Borderlands Defender, a bunch of Fate, and then go for, I don't know, Stronghold. And he completely forgot to blow up the Mystic, so I'm guessing he's honestly just in a bit of a full tilt mode. And we do see the Iron Mine used to prevent the Shuriyasuki from leaving play. So he gets an extra card to look at. How many rebuilds have we seen? 2? Yeah, CUNY Laboratory is just making it so that his entire board is huge. I think Crab goes first here next round, or have I missed something? No, Crab goes first. And yeah, keeping the Iron Mine around I think would have been correct as well. And we see a Way of the Crab to get rid of the Doji Challenger. And I honestly think that's just it, because he buys the Borderlands Defender, goes in with a lot of dudes into the Stronghold. And what is the Stronghold? Entrenched. So you go in political. Like, if he has any sense, he checks his list and see that it is entrenched, and he goes in political with well, basically Suichi on his own. That's pretty much all you need, really. I think you do it with, I don't know, Earth to get the Keeper as well. You go in with both Yasuki and the Suichi. Wow. Yeah, there's very few plays I see from the Crane player that can save him right now. We've seen one political rival in the discard, so it's entirely possible he has pulled one now. And we do see that the second let go played to discard on it. Oh, and we do see a political rival getting dropped preemptively. Yeah, I don't think the crab breaks this turn. And the Steward of the Law. So that's the last Steward of the Law and last political rival. There's no more. There's a single menacing Iron Warrior in the Crane player's deck when it comes to conflict characters. Yeah, I don't see. I think Switch just. I mean, leave Borderlands Defender at home. Poke. I don't know. Earthring here. Yeah, I honestly see just an Earthring. Poke. Alright, no. Airing. Firing. Both as fine options, I guess. Steward of the Law gets punted out of the conflict. With this Imperial Palace flip, like the Crane player's only chance of getting back into this game is next turn he flips a Yoshi, probably. That might actually put him back into this game. How do you... So you go in with 13 skill and see entrenched position, and his defense with 7 skill and plays a court games. Wow. And double honor loss from the watch commanders. And he actually dishonors Kayusuichi. Oh yeah, it's because Steward of the Law prevents the Borderlands Defender from getting dishonored. And another court games gets played in return, and no Voice of Honor is online to stop it, so now it's breaking again. No, it's actually just outside breaking. MM? What is MM in this case? Doji David says MM not being used was a big mistake. I am completely missing what MM is. Mia Mystic. Yeah, okay, from last turn. Of course. Yeah, I think, honestly, like, if I were the Crane player here, I'd probably be in pretty much full tilt mode right now. So I guess he just tilted and forgot. Like, Alright, so he sends him home and just leave the Borderlands Defender. As fair, I guess. He passes. Leniel won this conflict, so that pretty much means that Leniel is actually going to grab favor for next turn. That means if he has more Censures there online, and if he finds Yoshi, he might be able to claw himself back into this game. I think he just pitches everything for Yoshi next turn. Does Schrodes have enough in military to break here if the Doji Challenger attacks? That's the biggest question, really. So Water Ring, or a Void Ring. Okay, so it really wants to get rid of this Suichi. Manicured Gardens. Let's see if he can make anything happen. So he basically forcing the Crane player to have a Banzai here, or an Unbit Defeat. A Banzai or an Unbit Defeat he needs. Alright, he could also move in the Suichi, of course. Yeah. Shannon Persil Shuichi. Let's see if the crab player can do anything else this turn. That is a talisman. So he now pulls it over to defend the wall. And gets rid of the pole rival for next turn. Or does he get rid of this challenger? I don't know. Do we get moved to shameful or defend? No, we get moved to defend the wall. Alright. Defend the wall. Schrodes 1. Does he remove the political rival or the doji challenger? He gets rid of the political rival. Okay. And a Gaijin customs. The last one, obviously. Does he have enough to break military this turn? He has his 5, 6, 7, 8. He needs Banzai and Banzai exactly, and he wins. Yeah, I agree. I mean, he does get he does keep the favor this way actually. He just pulls in the keeper and keeper stands and he keeps the favor this way. If he doesn't have Banzai, that's also a decent enough play. He has a fine katana. He needs more. Yeah, yeah, so this ties favor and he gets to keep the favor for next turn then. Because he already have it. Oh no, you don't want the crane player to find Yoshi. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. And he has the Banzai. So, yeah. That is a huge Kaiusuichi breaking an entrenched position on his own. I guess it makes sense. He is an engineer after all. Maybe built a siege engine and went to town. So, we see the crab player just having insane amounts of stats on board and then wins. Kunilab is a great card, especially when you rebuild it, so you don't lose the honor. Like, it's just Kunilab is actually such a bonkers card because it's active in every single conflict and it gives both military and political. It's like it's just way more effective than the Lion Stronghold and is also way more effective than the Crab Stronghold, and it's a holding. Yes, that either means that the Lion and Crab Strongholds are horrendously undertuned, or CUNY Laboratory is actually really overtuned. In my opinion. I'm talking about the original Lion Stronghold here, not Hisumori Toridi, of course, but whatever. It is a pretty good card, though. Like, it's a pretty flavorful, good card. So, thank you for watching, everyone. The game is over. I'm gonna just say in chat to GG's. Oh, apparently I disconnected. Right, so I will be telling them in the Discord app instead. Thanks everyone for watching. This game will be uploaded to YouTube at some point. And good game to Schrodes and Kakita Leniel. And I guess I'll see you next time.